Welcome into Weather Center Live with Dave and Alex. I'm Alex Wilson.
And I'm Dave Schwartz. Well, we're getting you ready for some active weather between now and the weekend. Storms are developing, mostly in the middle of the country now, and marching east. And among the big concerns is...
Yeah, Dave, you mentioned we've got flash flood watches through parts of southeast Missouri, southern sections of Illinois and Indiana, and nearly the entire state of Kentucky included within that flash flood watch. We've got rain showers coming down now, thunderstorms as well. And you know those thunderstorms, especially the slow-moving ones, they have the potential to add a lot of rain in a short period of time. So we do have some flash flood warnings posted into parts of Kentucky. Here's the forecast as we go through tomorrow. We've got those storms moving eastward because that upper level disturbance will move east. Moist flow out of the Gulf and out of the Atlantic, so that southerly flow. And this storm strengthens as we get into Friday. That's going to offer up a severe threat along the coastline. So if you've got beach plans, I know, up into the northeast, other parts of the country, school doesn't start until a little later. So you're maybe getting a beach weekend in. Tomorrow, got to watch the beaches of North Carolina, southeast Virginia. But by Friday, notice beaches from North Carolina all the way to north central Florida will be areas to watch for the threat of damaging winds and hail. So could see some problems if you plan to get out there and catch some sunshine. Storms may put a little mess up those plans, we'll say. Hey, rain through Sunday. We are looking at 1 to 2 inches generally through parts of Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Southwest Virginia, and then getting into western North Carolina as well. Some areas, though, could see 2 to 3, even 3 to 5 inches. So some of those isolated spots, Dave, that pick up a little more thanks to those thunderstorms. Northern plains, so we're talking Dakotas, Nebraska, Iowa, parts of Minnesota. Just a few thunderstorms out there now. Not much happening. You're seeing some of that sunshine, but as we go through late week, you get this storm system. It'll be moving east, and so that moisture works its way all the way up towards the U.S.-Canada border, and that could bring the chance of some strong storms that, as Dave said, could produce some heavy rainfall at times. Tomorrow, severe storms from parts of North and South Dakota, northeast Nebraska, into Iowa and Minnesota, and Thursday night, notice many of the same areas will deal with that threat for hail, damaging winds, even an isolated tornado. By Friday, generally we're watching parts of northeast Iowa, then getting into eastern Minnesota and much of the state of Wisconsin for the end of your week. Tomorrow, severe risk does include Sioux City, Sioux Falls, and Fargo, North Dakota, western sections of Minnesota, and that's where we've got a 3 out of 10 on the Torcon. That's a 30% chance of a tornado within 50 miles. So not a huge, overwhelming chance, but definitely not something to discount. Here's Sioux Falls late tomorrow into strongest storm on Earth. Those are strong storms working towards Memphis, but this is something that's really scary because it's headed towards Taiwan, and we think that it could strengthen as it gets closer.
Yeah, it's been undergoing some internal changes. So right now, 110 mile per hour storm, but we think, right, it could get a lot stronger, and it's not all that far away from Taiwan right now. There's a look at Taipei, and yesterday we talked about the possibility of this thing being an incredibly strong storm as it comes into Taiwan. That's the latest forecast from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, looking for possibly 130 mile per hour storm coming in there. So you're talking about category 3, maybe getting up to near category 4 storm. And there's a look at the strong wind as one model sees it, perhaps driving right into Taipei. Now, yesterday we talked about the fact that in Taipei, you've got one of the tallest buildings in the world. It was the tallest building in the world just 5 years ago. That's Taipei 101. It's about 1,700 feet tall. And what's really interesting is that when we look at the vertical wind profile of an eye wall of a hurricane, the winds get much, much stronger as you get off the ground because there's no friction. And so they maximize right around 500 meters, which happens to be the height of that particular building. So you've got about a 30% increase in wind speed. So if you get winds of 100 miles per hour right at the ground, that's 130 miles per hour up at the top of that building. And that's about the most that that building can take.
Right. You talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
The engineers who build these tall buildings know that they need to be prepared for it, especially in a part of the world that is susceptible to typhoons.
Yeah.
How does this work, and do we think that this could hold in this strong of a storm?
Well, so the buildings are built to be very flexible, so they can sway back and forth in that strong wind, but they don't want to be too flexible to the point where they start really rocking. And so they use this thing called a tuned mass damper. It's way up at the top of the building. Now, this is amazing because it's 18 feet wide, so it's about the size of a master bedroom, but it weighs as much as 10 737s.
Wow.
Is that incredible? So there's a huge amount of weight in these things, 720 28 tons. And what it does is that it moves in opposition to that swaying. So if the building starts to sway, then that little tuned mass damper moves in the opposite direction, and it goes like that until it dampens out that swaying and it stops.
So it's more of a gradual, as you said, as opposed to rocking back and forth.
Exactly right. And this actually got a test with a 6.8 magnitude earthquake that happened when they were building this tower. So it's working very well and has been in the past. And I think they'd probably do just fine in almost any storm. Now, another big concern is the very heavy rain that's going to come. And this is the model forecast showing you the storm coming into Taiwan. You can think about the history of Taiwan and how many storms came in from just that angle. And when we look at the satellite picture here, this is really interesting because you see the green where you've got mountainous rural terrain on the east side of the island. Then you see the gray there, which is all the urban areas on the west side of the island. So at some point very long ago, somebody was living on the east side and they got rocked by one of these storms. And they said, forget that.
Let's take it.
We're going over to the west side, and that's where all the development has been. Taipei's right there in the northern part of the island. And then here you've got extremely mountainous terrain, and that aids and abets the heavy rain potential. So you've got perhaps as much as 12 to 18 inches coming down with the storm in mountainous terrain. That could mean torrential flooding, landslides, and maybe loss of life as well.
Absolutely. Something that we're going to be watching as we get closer to the end of the week. Thank you, Carl. Yep. We'll be right back.
And you're with Alex and Dave here on Weather Center Live with Alex and Dave. Thanks for joining us.
And we've got more active weather to track this afternoon. But coming up, or first, we've got to show you some awesome video. To the state of Idaho, where we have a Doppler indicated tornado warning well off to the north and east of Pocatello, Idaho. So notice we're approaching the Wyoming state line there. And this is that Doppler indicated tornado off towards the north and northwest of Swan Valley. So it's Bonneville, Madison, and Teton counties in this warning, including the cities of Driggs, Teutonia, and Victor. This goes until 4:15 Mountain Time, and this storm is moving. 45 miles per hour is the speed on this one. So this storm is booking it off towards the north and east. So if you are on the path of this storm, if you're in some of the towns that I've already named, or looking forward, Moody at 347, Newdale at 351, get into that lowest level, most interior room if I'm reading the name of your town. Bates at 4 o'clock local time, 4:07 in Driggs, and Alta at 4:13. So these are all areas to watch as this storm races off towards the north and east. Then we've got this severe thunderstorm watch for parts of Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and a little bit of Missouri as well. That far Boot Heel part in the far southeast, eastern Missouri and eastern sections of Arkansas, then getting into western Tennessee. A ton of lightning accompanying these storms. So something to watch out for as you are out and about. Stay inside. Don't even go out and let the dogs out. Try to, get them out one more time ahead of those storms. Wait for these to pass. We take you up into the state of Tennessee, off to the east of Nashville, where we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Wilson County. This goes until 5 o'clock Central Time. Dave, you've got the set. 53 minutes past the hour, so we're going to send it out to the lab with hurricane specialist Carl Parker.
Hey, Alex, so we're still watching this storm that's...
Hey, Carl, well, do you need a sweater at work in the middle of summer?
I don't.
No.
I mean, I wear the jacket, so I'm already all set,
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
here it's cold, I think.
It's 67. I just checked it. Yeah. Well, finally, an answer to one of the greatest mysteries of our time. Why women, often find the temperature at work so much colder than men do. Here's NBC's